Hello, I'm Atujaman and you're watching on Real TV's Prime at 9. Now headlines. PM Modi has virtually interacted and conferred digital certificates to Pradhan Mantri Rashtriya Bal Puraskar awardees for the year 2022 and 2021. During the event, Modi said the country is proud that CEOs of world's biggest companies are young Indians. Newly created Chumuketima District Administration is gearing up for the 73rd Republic Day to celebrate its first Republic Day as a district at the local ground. The Department of Soil and Water Conservation had its inaugural program of the Static Soil Testing Lab, Fertilizer Quality Control Lab and Bioorganic Quality Control Lab today at the District Soil Conservation Office, Dimapur. Indefinite ban in Aboy begins today as the state government failed to respond to the ultimatum served by the Aboy District Demand Committee. ADCC said the agitation will continue till the demands are met by the government. On the 14th of December, in a joint consultative meeting between ENPO and Eastern Naga civil societies at Longling, resolved that they would abstain from participating in the Republic Day celebrations until justice is delivered to the victim's family in particular and in Nagas in general. Now, as the month has passed and justice has not been delivered, the Eastern Nagaland People's Organization has decided to abstain from the 26th January celebrations. And now, in some further developments and on special request from the state government, the Konyak civil society organizations have agreed to soften its stance on boycotting all national events within Konyak Swell with certain conditions. Taking forth to the protest against the Draconian Armed Forces Special Powers Act 1958, the Naga Students Federation in a press communique on January 24 directed the Naga youths and students community to refrain from taking part in the upcoming Republic Day celebration. The Federation reiterated that the Naga people should disassociate themselves from such celebrations for as long as the Government of India continues with its policy of militarizing Naga homeland. The Federation further reminds its Federation units and subordinate bodies to comply with the earlier directives of the Federation to restrict its members from associating with the Indian armed and paramilitary forces and also accepting any form of humanitarian aid from them. The Federation further appeals the state government to ensure that the SIT report pertaining to the voting massacre is made public and that the culprits be awarded befitting punishments at the earliest. Meghalaya Chief Minister and National People's Party President Konrad Sangma along with Manipur Deputy Chief Minister Yumnam Joy Kumar Singh and State President L. Jayantan Kumar Singh on January 23 virtually released the Manifesto Action Document 2022 for the upcoming Manipur Assembly elections. Yumnam Joy Kumar Singh, Deputy CM of Manipur, said they intend to focus on education and sports to a great extent as the state has high potential in those areas. Manipur is among the 5 states slated to go to the polls next month.
National President has explained in brief the action program or the work program or how the party comes to party, how we are going to carry out governance of the state. This has been, we have put in lots of effort, lots of thoughts about how we can improve the state in terms of economy, in terms of governance, and in terms of so many other aspects of the.
To get more details on this and also to discuss about this matter, we will be joined by our senior news analyst, Elle from the newsroom. So hi Elle, thank you so much for joining us today as well. So moving on with this discussion, could you please tell us what are the main contents of the National People Party's manifesto?
I think the about 28 pages of the manifesto released by the NPP, I think, has almost all important political, social and cultural, administrative and development sectors of the state of Manipur that they wish to address if they are elected to power. It's very interesting. It's actually not very elaborate. It's more like a bulletin point or bullet point of the mission statements that the party wants to use as part of its strategy to gain some votes in the Manipur Assembly elections. Like I said, it is very long, actually, 28 pages, full of bullet points. But some of the most important areas that it wishes to address are the Armed Forces Special Powers Act, of course, and then sports infrastructure in the state. They recognize that the state is huge in the sporting capital, so they want to leverage that too.
Right, besides AFSPA being one of the key points here in the manifesto, also the NPPP has also stated about focusing on indigenous rights. So could you please tell us more about, what is indigenous rights? Could you please elaborate more on that?
Yeah, the NPP referred to the promotion and protection of indigenous rights in Manipur here too, and it's very interesting. However, it was not elaborate, it was not detailed. It was more like, okay, we will promote and we will protect the rights of indigenous peoples here. Indigenous rights could be a lot of things. It could mean one thing, it could mean 10,000 things to another community. Manipur, just like any of the northeastern states, is not exclusive by its representation. It is represented more by its plurality than by its exclusiveness. It has got the Meitei first. It has got the Meitei Bangals. It has got the Naga communities there, each with their own subgroups. It has got the Kuki people there. So it is represented by its plurality more than it is represented by its exclusiveness. So the definition of rights in the case of the NPP's manifesto might be a little vague here. I'll refer to one case, the Mapitel Dam. This dam has caused a lot of heartbreak among a certain community in Manipur. Agitations continued. There have been a lot of people who have lost their lands, their livelihood, because the government of Manipur decided to go ahead with it, no matter how much the people protested. The rights of this community for their livelihood, life, and their land resources was purely and entirely on this community. But then we'll look at Armed Forces Special Powers Act again too. If you look at the legislation, it did not affect just one group of community here. It affected everyone in Manipur, everyone in the northeast. So indigenous rights of a community could mean another again in Manipur. It could be a different thing. So what the NPP is doing is to represent a voice, that there is at least a political party in Manipur that will represent their voice, especially when it comes to the protection of their rights to land, their rights to livelihood, and their land resources. It's not detailed, but it's just to say, hey, we are here, we know your indigenous rights, also, although it is not that detailed in the manifesto, but we'll fight for you. That's what the NPP is telling the Manipur people.
Right, also moving forward, what are the party vote planks with which it seeks to have more NPP MLAs in Manipur?
Just as you have mentioned earlier, basically like I said, 28 pages of the manifesto. They include everything from Armed Forces Special Powers Act to electricity, water, sports. It even has a gender justice section, actually, and I've never seen that in any other party's manifesto. So it's very interesting. But the two main planks here is the Armed Forces Special Powers Act here, Atu. It wants to play on the anger and the sentiments of the people of Manipur, or in this regard, the whole people of the Northeast. They want to play on this sentiment of anger against this entirely deplorable piece of legislation, and they want to use that as a plan to push some more votes for the members of the for the candidates of the party to be represented in the assembly. That's the first one, Armed Forces Special Powers Act. Second is sports infrastructure. The NPP recognize, and I think we all agree, that Manipur is the sporting powerhouse of India now, and they want to leverage this to promote the youth, and along the way, of course, leverage some votes for the party. Yes, those are the two main planks, Atu.
Right, coming to the million-dollar question here, will the NPP be able to accomplish its promises as listed in the manifesto, considering that the NPP is considered a young party that understands more trending sentiments?
Political parties and their manifesto and delivering all those promises seem to be a little complicated question here if we look at history and what's been happening in our lives. Anyway, that aside, I'm not really sure if they will be able to accomplish all of the promises they made in the manifesto are to. But it is true, just like you said, they are young, they don't have that many controversies on their side as yet. And there seems to be a lot of youthful energy and passion within the ranks of the party. So I do believe there is a sense of there is an educated foresight in here in some case, because the members of the party seem to be a little more aware of trending sentiments, especially in the Northeast. They are young, they're aware of what's happening. So I think they want to push that energy. But in regard to whether they'll be able to fulfill their promises, I think that is something I cannot answer. But I think all of us, we have experienced what it's like to have a manifesto thrown at us and not really experiencing them too.
Right, when it comes to politics, we see that people promise a lot, but many a times they fail to deliver what they promise. So do you think it is a crime to not deliver as promised?
How you wish it would be a crime sometimes. Yeah, that aside, no, it's not a crime to actually, not even in democratic institutions, it's not a crime, but it certainly is unethical. It's not just us who have been complaining. Political parties promise us this and that, but they don't deliver. We have been complaining. Actually, in India, in 2015, I'll tell you a story or two. In 2015, someone actually complained to the Election Commission of India saying, ban those political parties that issues political manifestos and never deliver them. Ban them. But then the Election Commission of India said, we have no power to do that actually. So what it did was it issued a statement to the political parties saying, please don't make big promises, We can't punish you if you don't keep your promises, but at least don't make big promises. This happened in 2015. You can even read it online too, Atu.
Yeah. Right, so again, focusing more on that, why do political parties fail to deliver on their promises? What is your take on that?
Yeah, it's that's a very relevant question. Yeah, to all the hilarity aside, there are a lot of reasons why political parties, and we are not to blame them also. Politics is a very complicated game. It's a very complicated process that involves the participation of people, of administrations, of government, political leaders, civilian leaders. It is very complex. It's a complex play. So we can't always blame them if they don't deliver it. In politics, it's very hard for them to always deliver on political promises or social or cultural promises that they've made in those sectors, because it's very complicated. There are people issues, there are community issues, and then they cannot always deliver on financial issues because there are issues of financial management. There are loss or lack of funds. And it needs a lot of people to actually sit together and plan development. And it's not easy for the government to actually bring in different stakeholders and plan. And then, of course, there is accountability also. The other one of the reasons why the government failed to deliver on their promises is because just because a person or a government is elected does not mean it's competent. First thing. So there are many different reasons why political parties fail to deliver their promises, especially during elections. There's no one factor. Achu.
Right. Right, El, that will be all we'll have for this discussion. Thank you so much for joining us once again.
Thank you for having me, Atu.
Moving on to the next news. Newly created Chumuketima District Administration is gearing up for the 73rd Republic Day celebration at local ground Chumuketima. Altogether, 5 March past contingents are participating in the event, namely First NAP, Patkai Christian College, St. Joseph University, GHSS Chumuketima and Nagaland Police Central School Chumuketima and an Assam Rifle Military Band. Our reporter Jivan Rai had a brief interaction with the Deputy Commissioner Chumuketima, Abhinav Shivam. Let's have a look at the detailed report.
Chumuketima is a full-fledged district. Takan 73rd Republic Day to manai ase local ground te aru takan garne to first time ase eneka celebration kura to ita aji takan la rehearsal thagise final rehearsal তো আমি খান জানিব এতে কিমান টা কন্টিনজেন্স খান কোন কোন খান পার্টিসিপেট কৰিছে আমি খান নতে চুমুকিদিমা ডিস্ট্রিক্ট লগা ফার্স্ট ডেপুটি কমিশনার মিস্টার অভিনৱ শিৱম বি আছে তাইলো জানিব এটা কেনেকা রিহার্সাল খান প্র্যাকটিস খান চলি আছে আর কিমান টা কন্টিনজেন্স খান আইগেন আছে ইয়েস স্যার ওয়েলকাম টু হর্নবিল টিভি স্যার
Thank you so much. This was the last dress rehearsal. अपनी खान तो फजर ते भी आइशे मुझे नाइशे तो आज ही 3 PM ते माँ खान लगा प्लान था किसे आज ही तो लास्ट ड्रेस रिहर्सल था किसे अपनी भी सही से माँ खान सब VIP लगा सिचुएशन सिमुलेट करे कि ना करिशे तो भाल पूरा फुल फ्लेजेड था किसे तो और आमा खान 5টা কন্টিনজেন্ট আছে ফার্স্ট এনএপি আছে পটকাই ক্রিশ্চিয়ান কলেজ আছে সেন্ট জোসেফ ইউনিভার্সিটি আছে জিএইচএসএস স্কুল চমুকদিমা আছে আৰু নাগাল্যান্ড পুলিশ সেন্ট্রাল স্কুল লাগা আছে আৰু ব্যান্ড তো আমা খানকে 7 আসাম রাইফেল প্রোভাইড কৰাইছে
ओके सर इतु अपनी खान लाइता रिपब्लिक डे सेलिब्रेशन गर्ने सिक्युरिटी मेजर्स तो किने गस
सिक्योरिटी निमित्ते आमा खान तो पेरिफेरल सिक्योरिटी और सब प्लान करिब एतिया भी डीसीपी तो सिक्योरिटी निमित्ते मीटिंग राखिसे ताई सिक्योरिटी अरेंजमेंट करे किना आमा खान के আজি शामते ब्रीफ करिब হলে भी आमा खान की हाई राइज আছে सबते जाय किना पुलिस पूरा ही कवर करिब ताते पुलिस भी बहाब আৰু এটো নিচিনা হ'ব ডিটেইল প্ল্যান তো আজি শাম তক আই যাব ডিসিপি ইজ অন জব অন ফর দ্যাট
सर इতিয়া সিটিজেন্স কান কিমান নিচিনা পার্টিসিপেট কৰিব নিচিনা লাগে আপুনি
এতিয়া তো নম্বৰ তো ক'ব না পাৰিব আমা খান ইনভিটেশন তো দিব হলে भी सबके এটো भी জনাই দিছে কিলা মানে করোনা লাগা এসওপি भी হ'ব তো গাইডলাইন ফলো করে কিনা সোশ্যাল ডিস্টেন্সিং ফলো করে কিনা মানু খান কে মাতিছে মানু খান তো বেশি এক্সাইটেড আছে হলে भी করোনা লাগা কন্ডিশন भी আমা খান কে চাব লাগিব তো এটো চাই কিনা আমা খান কৰিব মাস্ক স্যানিটাইজার সব লাগাব আৰু এটো भी ইনশিওর কৰিব কি সব ভ্যাকসিনেটেড মানু খানি কে মাতিছে তো এটোই প্ল্যান আছে
I mean, we are from St. Joseph University. It is in Nikishi village, and we are very excited for this parade. Since it is our first time in Chumukidima, so we've been practicing a lot, and we are hoping for a great day at 26th.
Okay. And in your team, how many girls are there and how many boys?
Majority we have girls. About total we are in 23. There are 5 boys, and then rest are girls. Yeah. The 26th for India. It's a very great day. We should all participate in this.
Okay, now we have the team commander of which school?
NPCS, Nagaland Police Central School.
Can we know about your team first of all?
My team member is 24 or 27, yeah, and we are happy to participate here.
Okay, now we have the team commander of government college, government school.
Yes, government.
Okay. How is your preparation going on?
Preparation the ball is and like ball ke sab mano thik tak ja hai.
Can we know your name, please?
My name is Tamjul Kumar, sir.
How many girls are there in your team and how many boys?
Majority we have girls, sir.
Okay, so we are from Patkai College.
I'm feeling so excited and also a bit nervous as this is the first time for me to march on a parade.
And, can we know about your team, please?
We have 30 cadets here, 20 boys and 10 girls. And also we have been practicing this for 45 days. And I'm really proud to have them. They give us the full cooperation and we are doing good so far.
আমি খান এতে টিম কমান্ডার্স খান নতে অলপ কথা পাতিছে আৰু জানিছে আৰু মাইকি মানুহন বেছি পাৰ্টিসিপেট কৰা আমি খান জানিছে এতিবি ইটো আমি খান ইটো গ্ৰাউন্ড ৰিপৰ্টে আমি খান নতে আছে ক্যামেৰা পাৰ্সন মিস্টাৰ পংকজ গুৰুং
Nagaland Chief Minister Nipirio and the convener of the Assembly's Select Committee today examined the Nagaland Assam border issue in the committee room of the Nagaland Legislative Assembly Secretariat, Kohima. Addressing the press after the meeting, Chief Minister Nipirio said that the Select Committee team on the Assam-Nagaland border issue held a meeting with the Assam Chief Minister yesterday at Guwahati. He said that they had a very fruitful discussion and besides other discussions, they also discussed on the border issues which was earlier taken up with the Home Minister Amit Shah jointly.
We had decided that we are in favor of settlement outside the court. And maybe first part of February, Assam Chief Minister and our team will be meeting Home Minister again to formulate how to go about And the model of Meghalaya and Assam, which they had set up a local body, indigenous people from both sides, and then they had resolved 2 locations. And in that manner, today we had identified Assam-Nagaland border divided into 4 sectors. And after we have discussion with the Home Minister, we'll come for further discussion. And we had also discussed on the sharing of royalty on petroleum and natural gas.
This disputed area, if we can resolve on sharing of royalties and then the issues, long pending border issues, I think it will be very good for both sides because we like it, we don't like it, we are neighbors. In future also we have to be neighbors. So that is our decision. Very good.
On the creation of new districts, Nipurio said that Nagaland is a tribal state, and from the beginning, on the basis of tribes, districts were given. So even the present government, we are coming to acknowledge the tribal components as the tribal state, adding that there are demands of Mon to be divided into 3, Mokokchung into 3 districts, and then Zaniboto, Woka, including Puchuri, Miluri. Therefore, as Nagaland state motto is unity, it is not in the interest of the Nagas that we divide a tribal district into smaller fragmentations. That's why our decision is that we will not divide any tribal districts which is already in existence, as Nagaland state is a small state. The whole Nagaland put together is even smaller than some district in the country.
Nagaland is a tribal state, and from the beginning, on the basis of tribes, districts were given. So even this government, we are coming to acknowledge the tribal components as a tribal state. That's why even small, we are favoring with the contiguous tribals, where at least they have a sizable population and area we are identifying. Therefore, on that line, even Samatur, the Tikher recognition was a big issue among themselves and the whole of ENPO. So since our first cabinet meeting on 19th December was approved in principle with such conditions that they coexist and recognize one another. So they gave no objection to recognition of Tikhers and also the demarcation of the district.
And likewise, there are demands of Mon to be divided into 3, Mokokchung, 3 districts, and then Zaniboto, Woka, including Puchuri also. Therefore, we had thought that our Nagaland state motto is unity. Therefore, it is not in the interest of the Naga that we divide a tribal district into smaller fragmentations. That's why our decision is we will not divide any tribal district which is already existing. And Nagaland state is a small state. The whole Nagaland put together is even smaller than some districts in the country. So I think there are some cases who are demanding. But so first of all, the tribal district, they have to decide what to do, and they should understand the policy of the state government for the interest of the.
On the issue of SIT and creation of forensic lab, the CM informed that the state SIT report is already completed and are waiting for the forensic lab report, without which there is no evidence or proof scientifically and that it cannot proceed any further. That is the only issue, as it has passed 50 days. And about the forensic lab, Chief Minister further informed that discussion is on for forensic lab in the state. However, it is not an easy thing. A big state and the bigger mother state like Assam don't have it either and are contemplating because it is very complicated.
Discussing, but it is not an easy thing. A big state and the bigger state and the mother state, Assam also, they don't have also. Now, you can install, but management, this has a lot of complication. And therefore, today we are sending to Calcutta, Hyderabad. If we are capable, then we can install. I'm going to take up this issue with the Home Minister when I meet him. But being a small state, you have so many disadvantages. And whether we'll be able to maintain or manage, that is the issue. Otherwise, if we have our own, nothing like that.
That's all we have for now. Keep watching Hornbill TV.